Hello students, today from the book Moments of Class 9th English Literature, we are going to start In the Kingdom of Fools. In the Kingdom of Fools is actually a Kannada folk tale edited by A.K. Ramanujan. Now we know that folk tales are passed on from generations to generations. These stories are mostly imaginary and some of these stories does not have any true value, but these stories, if though they are imaginary, but still they are spoken, they are told from generations to generations because they teach us a specific moral. Now what specific moral we are going to learn at this story? Let's see. But before that, let us get introduced with who Mr. A.K. Ramanujan was. A.K. Ramanujan, full name is Attipate Krishnaswamy Ramanujan. He was born on 16th of March 1929 and died on 13th July 1993. So who was he? He was basically an Indian scholar, an Indian poet, a scholar, in true sense a scholar of Indian literature who wrote in both in English and Kannada. So Ramanujan was a poet, scholar, professor, philologist, folklorist, translator and a playwright. So within one man you could find so many characteristics. And his academic research ranged across 5 languages: English, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu and Sanskrit. He published works on both classical and modern variants of his literature and argued strongly for giving local and non-standard dialects their due. It is true that he published various works of classical, modern variants, and the local and non-standard dialects, they are not respected. Okay, so he fought so that these dialects, these languages will give their importance, and the one best way to give the importance to this language is understanding the folk tales of each and every language. Though he wrote widely and in a number of genres, Ramanujan's poems are remembered as enigmatic works of startling originality, sophistication and moving artistry. He was awarded the Sahitya Akademi Award posthumously, means after his death, in 1999, as he died in 1993, for the collected poems. So for this work, collected poems, he got the Sahitya Akademi Award after his death. So his full name was A.K. Ramanujan, who is Atipat Krishnaswamy Ramanujan. So this is the man. Now let's get introduced to our very own lesson, which is In the Kingdom of Fools, which is actually a Kannada folk tale which A.K. Ramanujan rewrote from his own ideas. So Kannada is a regional language mainly spoken in the state of Karnataka, and this story is a Kannada folk tale. Means folk tale is a story which is passed on from one generation to another. It is taken from the book Folk Tales from India, which is a very famous book, and it has been translated into many languages. Like in Bengali, this book is being translated by Maheshwara Devi, the famous Bengali writer, and we have this book in Bengali also. In many languages this book is available. So a book Folk Tales from India, written by A.K. Ramanujan. So first of all, let us discuss the title of the story, In the Kingdom of Fools, which means a state where people are not so wise, they are not intelligent. So what if a country which is being ruling, there the people are useless? In this story, the king, his ministers and his advisors are fools. That means they are not wise and intelligent when this kind of people rule the kingdom. So if the ruler is not intelligent, then what all happens has been told in this story. Very important. Why should a country progress? A country should be progress for their leader. And if the leader is a fool, then what will happen? So this story will tell us that incident. So let us quickly get to that story. So in the kingdom of fools, it is believed that fools are so dangerous that only very wise people can manage them. Who are the fools in the story? What happens to them? So let's see who are fools in the story. So in the kingdom of fools, both the king and the ministers were idiots. They didn't want to run things like the other kings. So they decided to change night into day and day into night. They ordered that everyone should be awake at night till their fields and run their business only after dark and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. Anyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. The people did as they were told for fear of death. The king and the minister were delighted at the success of their project. One day, a guru and his disciple arrived in the city. So we see that in this kingdom, the kings and the ministers were idiots. Idiots means they won't do the things as normal people were doing. And they decided to change night into day, so all the day's work will be done at night, which is scientifically not correct, because at night our body needs rest and our body energizes with the coming of the sun, isn't it? Sunlight also helps to energize the body. So he changed, he ordered, he is the king, and that's why people at night till their fields, run their business, go to bed when the sun came up, and they were doing for the fear of the death they cannot say. And the king and the minister were extremely successful. Look how good kings we were. And one day a disciple and a guru came and arrived in the city. It was a beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one about. Everyone was asleep, not a mouse stirring. Even the cattle had been taught to sleep by day. Two strangers were amazed by what they saw around them and wandered around night till evening, when suddenly the whole town woke up and went about its nightly business. So for the entire day they had not eaten, they had not done anything. Now actually we are talking about a time which you need to understand that it is not like our situation. Okay, so it is not like our situation where we work at night also apart from day. It is a situation when people actually were sleeping at night when the evening came. Okay, so the dinner concept was not there. So for the entire morning till the sunlight came, the people used to work, and at night they used to rest. Okay, so at that time it happened. Nowadays we rest only for a few hours, but it was not the case till then. Okay, so this is why in the entire night people were working and the entire day people were sleeping. Okay. Okay. So the two strangers were amazed by what they saw, and they were not aware of this. They were hungry. So the two men were hungry. Now that the shops were open, they want to buy some groceries. So now, since the shop was open, so the guru and the disciple decided that they will buy some groceries. And now, to their astonishment, they found that everything cost the same, a single dudu. So each and everything cost one dudu, means it is a currency. Whether they bought a measure of rice or a bunch of bananas, it costs a dudu. It means, imagine that each and everything costs 1 rupees. Each and everything. So what will happen? You can do anything, you can buy anything, right? Even you can buy one house for a 1 rupee. Now tell me, is it possible? But people are doing such type of exchange. Everything is for 1 dudu. Now what will happen? The guru and the disciple were delighted. They had never heard of anything like this. They could buy all the food they wanted for a rupee. So when they had cooked and eaten, the Guru realized that this was a kingdom of fools and it wouldn't be a good idea for them to stay there. So when the food was eaten at that time, the Guru realized that this is a kingdom of fools and we can't stay here for longer. So he said, this is not a place, this is a no place for us, let's go, he said to his disciple. But the disciple didn't want to leave the place, everything was cheap here, all he wanted was good cheap food. So the disciple was greedy, and out of his greed he wanted his cheap good food. And the Guru said, this is the Guru, very very important line, this is, they all are fools, this won't last very long and you can't tell what they will do to you next. So you don't know what they will do to you. But the disciple didn't listen. But the disciple wouldn't listen to the Guru's wisdom. He wanted to stay. So the Guru finally gave up and said, do what you want, I am going, and left. The disciple stayed on, ate his every fill every day, bananas and ghees and rice and wheat, and grew fat like a street side sacred bull. So the disciple did not listen to what Guru said, and the Guru finally gave up and said, okay, you do whatever you want, but I am going, and he left. So the disciple stayed on, ate his very fill, bananas, ghee, rice, everything, and he grew fat. So one bright day, what happened? Now this is another incident. A thief broke into a rich merchant's house. So who is the defaulter? The thief is, right, the thief is the one who made the mistake. He had made a hole in the wall and sneaked in, and he was carrying out his loot. The wall of the old house collapsed on his head and killed himself on the spot. This is a country of fools. Okay. The wall of the old house collapsed and killed him. So his brother ran to the king and complained, Your Highness, when my brother was pursuing his ancient trade, which is stealing, a wall fell on him and killed him. This is a merchant to blame. He should have built a good strong wall. You must punish the wrongdoer and compensate the family for the injustice. So everyone, even the thief is taking advantage. See, the people in the country are not fools. The king might be fool, the minister might be fool, the people of the country are not fools. And so they were doing. See, they are manipulating the king, and the king has no decision of his own. The king can't say, why were you stealing? Instead the king said, justice will be done. Don't worry, and at once summoned the owner of the house. So the king summoned the owner of the house. So when the merchant arrived, the king questioned him, what's your name? So the merchant said, such and such, your highness. Were you at home when the dead man burgled into your house? Yes, my lord, he broke in and the wall was weak, it fell on him. The accused pleads guilty, your wall killed this man's brother, you have murdered a man, we will have to punish you. So we have to punish you because this dead man's brother wanted to steal something in your house, and the wall broke and it fell on him, so you must be punished for that because it is your wall, isn't it? So the merchant also thought of an idea and said, Lord, said the helpless merchant, I didn't put up the wall. It's really the fault of the man who built the wall. He didn't build it right. You should punish him. Who is that? My lord, this wall was built in my father's time. I know the man. He's an old man now. He lives nearby. So the king said that, the merchant said to the king, it's actually I didn't build up the wall. So it is a man who built up the wall. It's a Mason. And he was in the father's time. He's old man now. He lives nearby. I know him. So the king sent out messengers to bring in the bricklayer who had built the wall. They brought him and tied hand and foot. You were there. Did you build this man's wall in his father's time? Yes, my lord, I did. So the builder said, yes, I did. So the king questioned, now what type of an engineer type of thing you are, right? What kind of a wall is that you built? It has fallen on a poor man and killed him. You have murdered him. We have to punish you by death. And before the king could order the execution, the poor bricklayer pleaded, please listen to me before you give your orders. It's true I built this wall and it was no good, but that was because my mind was not on it. I remember very well a dancing girl who was going up and down that street all day with her anklets jingling, and I couldn't keep my eyes or my mind on the wall I was building. You must get that dancing girl, I know where she lives. So before the king was about to order the execution, okay, the death, the magician also said, okay, I listen to me before you give. So I remember a dancing girl who was going up and down, and his anklets were jingling. So I could not keep my eyes or mind on the wall that I was listening to. So I was thinking about her. I know where that girl lives. So they were basically avoiding the execution by their intelligence. I told you that the kingdom is not full, the countrymen are not full, only the king and the ministers are full, the very very important position. You were right, the case deepens, we must look into it. It is not easy to judge such complicated cases. Let's get the dancer wherever she is. So the dancing girl, now an old woman, came trembling to the court. Did you walk up and down that street many years ago while this poor man was building a wall? Did you see him? Yes, my lord, I remember it very well. So you did walk up and down with your anklets jingling. You were young and you distracted him. He had built a bad wall. So you did walk up and down and your anklets were jingling and you were young at that time, and that distracted this man. So it has fallen, and the king said that it has fallen on a poor burglar, thief, and had killed him. Such a grave thing. You have killed an innocent man. He is a very very innocent. He is a thief. No doubt he is innocent, isn't it? You will have to be punished. And she thought for a minute and said, my lord, wait, I know now why I was walking up and down the street. I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for me. He was a lazy scoundrel. He made many excuses, said that he would give it now and he would give it then, and so on all day. He made me walk up and down and to his house a dozen times. That was when this bricklayer saw me. It's not my fault, my lord. It's the demand of the goldsmith's damn goldsmith faults. So I know why I was going down up and down, because the goldsmith didn't give me the jewelry I told him to make him. And why the goldsmith didn't give? And the king thought, poor thing, she's absolutely right, thought the king, weighing the evidence. We have got the real culprit at last. Get the goldsmith wherever he is hiding at once. And the king's bailiff searched for the goldsmith, who was hiding in a corner of his shop. When he heard the accusation against him, he had his own story to tell. So the goldsmith also said, my lord, he said, I am a poor goldsmith. I am a goldsmith, but I am poor. See the contrary. It's true that I made this dancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuses because I couldn't finish making her jewelry before I finished the rich merchant's order. They had a wedding coming and they wouldn't wait. You know how impatient rich men are. So you know how impatient rich men are. Okay, so I was making a merchant's order. I was finishing the rich merchant's order. Okay. Who is the rich merchant who came from finishing this poor man's jewelry and made her walk up and down, who distracted this bricklayer, which made a mess on his wall, which has now fallen on the innocent man and killed him? Can you name him? So the goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall has fallen. Now justice has come full circle, thought the king. So it was actually, the merchant was none other than the merchant's father, to whose house the burglar has went in to steal. So now the justice has came into a full circle, thought the king. Back to the merchant, when he was rudely summoned back to the court, to arrive crying, it wasn't me but my father who ordered the jewelry. He is dead. I am innocent. He is dead. My father is dead. But the king consulted his ministers and ruled decisively. It's true your father is a true murderer, he is dead, but somebody must be punished in this place. Punishment should be given. Case would not be dismissed. See? You have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, his richness as well as his sins. I knew at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you were at the root of this horrible crime. You must die. And he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution. Stake means a mechanism for killing. Okay. So, as the servant sharpened the stake and got it ready for the final implanting of the criminal, it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. So the rich merchant was too thin to be properly executed on the stake. So the rich merchant will not be executed just because he is thin. This is the kingdom of fools. See, if you are thin, you will be excused. He appealed to the king's common sense. The king too worried about it. The king too thought, so what shall we do? What shall we do now? This is the kingdom of fools. What shall the king do? He said, when suddenly it struck him that all need to do was find a fat man, fat enough to feed the stake. See, isn't this thing happening exactly? Innocent people are being accused for somebody else's blame. This is the kingdom of fools. The servants were immediately sent all over the town looking for a man who would feed the stake, and their eyes fell on the disciple who had flattened himself for months on bananas and rice and wheat and ghee. So they suddenly found that the disciple was there, okay, who has fattened himself for months on bananas, wheat, rice, ghee, everything. And the disciple said, what have I done wrong? I am innocent, I am a sannyasi, he cried. That may be true, but it's a royal decree that we should find a man fat enough to feed the stake. You have become fat. You might be a sannyasi, but you are greedy. They said, and carried him to the place of the execution. He remembered his wise guru's words, this is a city of fools. You don't know what they will do next, and truly they are going to punish. While he was waiting for death, he prayed to his guru in his heart and asking for him to hear his cry wherever he was. The guru saw everything in a vision. He had magic powers. He could see far, and he could see future, as he could see the present and the past. So the guru is very powerful. He arrived at once to save his disciple who had got himself into such a scrape through the love of food. So the disciple was greedy. So as soon as he arrived, he scolded the disciple and told him something in a whisper. Then he went to the king and addressed him. O wisest of the kings, who is greater, the guru or the disciple? So the guru was immediately testing the king. Who was greater? Because in the kingdom of fools, they might say the disciple is greater. Of course, the guru, no doubt about it. Why do you ask? So the king was intelligent somehow. He said that the guru is greater. Okay, no doubt about it. Why do you ask this? Then put me in the stake first. Put the disciple to death after me. So put my disciple to death after me. Put me to the stake. Put me to that mechanism of death. Why? Why the guru wants to be killed? And when the disciple heard this, he understood and began to clamor, me first, you brought me here first, put me to death first, not him. So the guru and the disciple now got into a fight about who should go first. The king was puzzled by this behavior. He asked the guru, why do you want to die? We chose him because we needed a fat man for the stake. And you shouldn't ask me such question. Put me to death first, replied the guru. The guru said that put me to death, you don't ask any questions. They were fighting. I will die first. But why? Why is he wanting death? Why is the guru wanting death? Why? There's some mystery here. As a wise man, you must make me understand. So as a wise man, you must make me understand what is the case. And then the guru said, will you promise to me to put to death if I tell you? Asked the guru. The king gave his solemn word. Yes, I will. The guru took him aside out of the servant's earshot and whispered to him, do you know why we want to die right now, two of us? We have been all over the world, but we have never found a city like this or a king like you. That stake is the stake of God of justice. It's new, it has never had a criminal on it. Whoever dies on it first will be reborn as the king of the country. This is the country kingdom of fools. So anything in the guru's word will be believed by all. and whoever goes next will be the future minister of the country. So the Guru said, we are sick of our ascetic life. It would be nice to enjoy ourselves as the king and minister for a while. Now keep your word, my lord, and put us to death. Me first, remember. So whoever will die will be born as the king of this country. So if the Guru dies, he made up a story that then I will be the king. Okay, so you remember, so put me to death first. Okay, it's me. And the king realized that they want to overthrow him in the kingdom, and the king will not allow this. So what the king said, the king was now thrown into a deep thought. He didn't want to lose his kingdom to someone else in the next round of life. He needed time, so he ordered the execution postponed to the next day and talked in secret with his minister. It's not right for us to give the kingdom to others in next life. Let's go on to the stake for ourselves, and we will be reborn as king and minister again. Holy men do not tell lies, he said, and the minister agreed. So let's die ourselves first. Holy men do not lie. So the king told the executioner, we will send the criminals tonight. When the first man comes to you, you put him to death first, then do the same to the second man. Those are my orders, don't make any mistake. That night the king and the minister went secretly to the prison, released the Guru and the disciple, disguised themselves as two, and arranged beforehand with the loyal servants, were taken to the stake and promptly executed. So that night the king and the minister went to the prison. They released the Guru and the disciple, and they disguised themselves as the two, arranged beforehand with the loyal servants, and they were taken to the stake and quickly executed. And now what happened? When the bodies were taken down to be thrown to crows and vultures, the people panicked. They saw before them the dead bodies of the king and the minister. The city was in confusion. Whom to make the king now? At all night they mourned and discussed the future of the kingdom. What will be the future? Some people suddenly thought of the Guru and the disciple and caught up with them, and they were preparing to leave the town unnoticed. We people needed a king and a minister, so as said someone, others agreed. They begged the Guru and disciple to be the king and minister. It didn't make any arguments to persuade the disciple, but it took longer to persuade the Guru. They finally agreed to rule the kingdom of the foolish king and the silly minister on the condition that they could change all the old laws. So they decided that they will change all the old laws. So tactfully this Guru, because of his intelligence, could punish the foolish king and the minister, and now they decided that they will change each and every law. From then on, night would be again night be night. Okay, so night would again be night from that day onwards. So from then onward, night would be again night and day would be again be day, and you could get nothing for a do. It became like any other place. So it became the kingdom blight, just became like any other kingdom where everything was available in properly. So this was the story of the kingdom of fools, and it talks about many kingdoms in disguise, many countries in disguise who had a foolish king, and that's why the people are suffering. The successful kingdom is where the people are not suffering at all. So with this, let us quickly move to the summary of this text. So the summary goes, in the kingdom of fools, in the kingdom of fools is an so in the kingdom of fools summary, in the kingdom of fools is an interesting story of a kingdom run by a foolish king. One day a saint and his disciple reached the kingdom. The saint was astonished to see that the people were sleeping during the day and walked during the night. He was disturbed to see that all the good food items in the kingdom costed the same. One Dudu, he analyzed that it was a kingdom of fools and ordered his disciple to leave the place. The disciple did not want to live with his guru as he was lured by the abundance of cheap food. One day a man approached the king for justice. He claimed that his brother was committing his ancient trend of theft, and during that the wall of a man's house fell on him and he died. He asked the king to get him compensated. As the king was foolish, he did not analyze that the man was a criminal. On the contrary, he tried all the people who were involved in the death of the thief, the rich merchant who was the owner of the house wall who was broken, the rich man who had built the walls, the dancing girl due to whom the builder had built a weak wall, and the goldsmith because of whom the dancing girl had to move around in the street that day. Finally, the king decided that the merchant's father was the real culprit. As he was dead and his son has inherited all his property, so he would get punished in the place of his father. Another turn of events takes place when the minister feels that the merchant is too thin to be killed by the stake. The king orders his men to find a fat person who could be punished in the place of the merchant. As the disciple has become very fat, the men took him to the king. The innocent man prayed to his guru for help. The guru visualizes that his disciple is in trouble and reaches to save him. He uses his intelligence and wisdom to trap the foolish king. Finally, the king and his minister get themselves killed by the stake in place of guru and his disciple. The people of the kingdom begged the guru and his disciple to become their new king and minister. The guru agreed on a condition that the kingdom would function normally like all other kingdoms did. So in this way they upturned the kingdom of fools into a proper kingdom. Okay, so this was all about the story kingdom of fools, and this is what a folk tale is. A folk tale teaches a lesson. The lesson that we learn today is that if you are a king, if you are a ruler of the kingdom, you must be wise, or else the kingdom will ruin. So this is what the story goes in the kingdom of fools. This is a Kannada folktale edited by A.K. Ramanujan. So thank you students. This was all about the kingdom of fools. Hope you enjoyed this class. So let me end the video for now. Thank you students.